So I am not gonna lie. Uh, I am not gonna lie. Look at this face. Oh my goodness. So we're going to look at this video. This is from The View. If you watch The View, we'll put it like this. You watch The View. All right, we gotta get into this. Let's.
So, how you feel? I'll start. Yeah, go ahead. My takeaway is that the system works. We live in a democracy. People spoke. This is what people wanted. I vehemently disagree with the decision that Americans made, but I feel very, very hopeful that we have a democratic system in this country. We should value it. We should love it. We should protest if the situation arises that we need to protest, which I'm sure it will. And I've been through this before with Nixon. It's been very difficult, but boy, oh boy.
So you got these 6 millionaires sitting up here. You got these 6 millionaires sitting up here telling you, American folks, how you need to feel. Go out there and protest. Go out there and tear up your own communities. Gaslighting and all this type of stuff. 6 millionaires. When this show is over, this show 2-3 hours long, they're just gonna go back up to their palatial estates, and that's what's gonna happen. But you need to go out here and tear shit up. But you know what? It's real early. Let's see what they got to say.
Boy, do we have a country if we can keep it.
Yeah.
The American voter wanted to take their country back, and we will soon see what that means. There are levels of sexism and racism that clearly a lot of people in this country are willing to tolerate, which is also something that, we may have woken up in the same country in a sense, but that becomes much more clear this morning. I would also say that there were conversations for over a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks about how Black men weren't doing their part. Black people did their part and did everything they needed to do, including the Black woman who ran. So this isn't, and going to a point that Mike Memoli had made earlier, this isn't a democratic problem per se, because it's not a problem that can be solved with a campaign. These are deep-rooted issues in our country that we absolutely need to address.
All right, guys, so as promised in my first video, today is going to be the day of covering the meltdowns from the liberal media, okay? Because the meltdowns are coming in, they're rolling in, and one of the main meltdowns that I know that people were looking forward to watching, okay? This is probably going to be the most watched meltdown on television, which is the meltdown from the Cackling Hens on The View, because as expected, they're not handling this loss for Kamala Harris too well, right? And the show went exactly as you would expect, with them boohoo whining and crying about Trump winning and how all of their rights going to be taken away, and finger pointing and, blaming people based off race in regards to why Kamala Harris lost. Take a look.
I don't know. I'm profoundly disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was "America makes a perilous choice." I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have. And I remember my father telling me many
It's not funny. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because these people have no idea. They have lost all touch with what it's like to be just a normal person. And she's talking about all these things, which her family is pretty much normal people. You can lift these people up with the millions of dollars that you're making. Ascension, that's their first name, Austin, and you get on here and you just seem so passionate and that you care so much. If you did care so much, you wouldn't be up here doing this. You'd just be doing there taking care of your people, which just take care of your people. You don't have to be up here grandstanding and doing all this stuff. This is great. This is stupid. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. Let her continue.
Many years ago that I was
With this passionate plea for something. I don't know what that something is, but let's see.
the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that. So again, I'm profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States.
Yeah, keep going.
I think that going forward, the convicted felon box on employment applications better be taken off, because if you can be the president of the United States, then you should not be prevented from.
So you have such a problem with convicted felons. Do you know there's a whole percentage of men, is mostly men, it's a very small percentage of women that are convicted felons. And when you say such things, you just disenfranchise and you just eliminate an entire section of the American population. Because whatever reason, the reason really doesn't matter, but on their jacket it says convicted felons. It doesn't matter the reason. It doesn't matter the reason. If they're in there, okay, they really don't vote. If they're not in there, they vote. When you people automatically exclude convicted felons, you are automatically ostracizing a nice little pocket of people that can vote that are convicted felons. You really don't understand that. And you don't care to understand that. So let's continue with this bullcrap. Ascension hosted
employment in this country, because I remember applying for my jobs as a federal prosecutor, and there was a box for convicted felons.
Well,
and so that box better be taken off. And I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion. I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps, and I'm also worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to prepare.
She said internment camps. I don't even know where that came from, but it came from the same rhetoric that the Democrats have expound from the beginning, where they have called this guy Donald Trump I have to be correct in the speech because it's going to be on YouTube as well. They have called this guy the guy with the funny little mustache, the Michael Jordan, Charlie Chaplin mustache, if you know what I'm saying, with the so anyway, internment camps. This is just something that they have totally made up to where did it come from? They just made it up. And this is what they do. This is all right. This is great. These people are fucking delusional. But let's see what else they got to say.
Prepare for temporary hardship. I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it has to.
She said cultural resentment. I gotta think about what that is. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds ridiculous. But let's see what else these. Oh my gosh, this is great. What else do they have to say? All right, let's go. This is great.
To do with a lot of things, that being one of them. I'm obviously very disappointed. I'm very sad. I was at the Kamala Harris headquarters yesterday in Washington, and it was a very sad scene. The mood turned immediately.
Well, I want to dig further into the demographics because black women tried to save this country again last night. 92% of black women voted for the vice president. You have Latinas in the 70 percentile voting for the vice president. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms? And why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport?
Reproductive health freedom. So is that a new thing, or I don't even know what that is. Think about the words. Reproductive health freedoms. What does that mean? Can somebody tell me what that means? Reproductive health freedom. I don't have time to look it up right now, but all right.
It says he's going to deport the majority of his community.
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We have to look at the demographics of it.
Yeah, so once again, we have the cackling hands on The View, specifically Sunny Hostin, being unable to analyze politics or to figure out why things didn't go her way without bringing up race, right? And I find it hilarious because Alyssa Fair Griffin actually pushed back against Sunny Hostin a little bit. Maybe Alyssa Fair Griffin will stop being such a grifter and actually, I don't know, give conservative viewpoints on The View now that Trump has won. I don't know. But again, I'm surprised that she pushed back. And she pushed back in a way that she should have pushed back by saying, yeah, you can't keep doing that. You can't just keep smearing people based off race and gender and putting people in these boxes, right? Because that's part of the reason why Kamala Harris lost, okay? And I want to expand on that, but it's not just The View. You also have MSNBC. They're also boohoo, whining, crying, hating bigotry, sexism, racism, all this stuff as reasons for why Kamala Harris lost. Take a look.
And I just say, Rev, really quickly, too, Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before. A lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of
with other Hispanics. You got some that don't like each other. And some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not simplistic. And we've got to have real honest conversations about it.
Real honest conversations.
Wow. 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 Yo, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. Guys, the Democrats, the liberal media, they're doubling and tripling down on the same type of identity politics and buffoonery, which led to Kamala Harris losing. Okay? Again, this is the part about the Democrat Party in the liberal media that really gets me. They don't have the ability to reflect. They do not have the ability to admit that, hey, we're wrong. That identity politics is just not as popular as it once was in this country. Because this election was about identity politics. Because Democrats made it about identity politics. As soon as Kamala Harris got into the race became about identity politics. Okay? And it just so happens that the identity politics game that the Democrats try to play, it didn't work. Because people are getting fed up. They're sick of the identity politics games that Democrats try to play, especially.
So no, that's good. That's the end of this, because it's like, ooh, I don't even know where to go, because there's just so much more that's gonna come out, and at this point, it's just goodness gracious. If y'all can see all this stuff, it's just, it is what it is. Goodness gracious, I don't have any other words. Sorry, I don't.